Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I think I've covered it all. This is Senior Issues, etc. I'm your host, Vita Verdon. Get your beverage. You're going to want to take some notes on this one because it's got a good show for you today. You know how you always hear, eat this, not that? Well, we're going to cover that subject today, and I have an expert. This is a return visit for him. He was on a couple of years ago when I think he was new to this area, and he is the nutritionist from Advocate Condell, and his name is Josh Rigger, and we're so happy to have him back. Nice to have you back, Josh.
Good to see you, Vita.
Well, you know, you've been here before, so you know what they want to hear from you. They want to hear about your personal life, a little bit about you, where you came from and how you ended up here. So let us know, okay?
Sure. Yeah, certainly. Well, I'm a registered dietitian at Advocate Condell Medical Center. I'm actually originally from Bowling Green, Kentucky, on the western part of Kentucky. I finished school up in Nashville. I actually had a residency there at Vanderbilt University Medical Center. Eventually moved up to Chicago area up towards Libertyville because I actually saw a job for wellness at Advocate Healthcare. Of course, came up, took the job, and I've been here ever since. So,
and I know that you just had a recent occurrence in your life that has completely changed your life. What was that happened?
Certainly. My wife and I actually had our first child. His name's Elliot. He's 8 weeks old.
And what's your wife's name?
Her name's Renee.
Okay, so what I want you to do is give two big ones. One right for here. Renee. First for Renee.
Okay.
Right into that camera.
There you go, Renee.
No, you got to give a bigger smooch than that.
There you go, Renee.
And one for Elliot.
Two for Elliot. There you go.
Two for Elliot. Good. What I'd like us to start with is first explain what is nutrition. Give us a little rundown.
Well, nutrition is basically the science behind healthy eating to fuel the body in a proper manner. So, I mean, when you look at nutrition, you want to think about as far as what you're putting in your body to be able to fuel your body properly and to keep you healthy.
Now, so that's nutrition. What is a nutritionist?
Well, actually, what a nutritionist is typically what I am actually as a registered dietitian. So I'm actually licensed as a nutritionist in Illinois. And what I do is I actually, as we talked about earlier, I get paid to actually help people and teach them how and educate them how to eat healthier.
That's a good deal for you because you're learning at the same time.
Exactly.
What I'd like to know, what's the difference between a nutritionist and a dietitian?
Certainly. A nutritionist, basically, you don't have to be a licensed practitioner to be a nutritionist. You have to have a license, basically, in order to be a registered dietitian. So people can be a nutritionist without being a registered dietitian, but all registered dietitians are nutritionists.
Oh.
So you actually have to get a degree to be a registered dietitian from a university.
Oh, so all registered dietitians are nutritionists, but all nutritionists, do they have to be registered dietitians?
They don't. Actually, chiropractors, doctors, other people can actually term themselves nutritionists.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
Certainly, yeah.
Yeah, so a chiropractor, they have to study a certain amount of nutrition when they're in school then?
Well, a lot of times, like chiropractors and those types of practices and those jobs, they typically do look at nutrition and actually have more courses in their studies.
Oh, so they have more courses. Well, there's something alone that we learned that we didn't. We have to keep those little gray cells going. Now, we live in an age of technology, and so there's all kinds of buzzwords like people were saying Wi-Fi. I didn't know what Wi-Fi is with what, I didn't know that meant wireless, when they were saying Wi-Fi. And so it's a whole new language that we're in the process of developing. And I do, as we talked earlier, believe that technology is the way of the future, because it's just shortcutting so many methods for us. But we hear all these buzzwords, and the buzzword of today is eat this, not that, and what's this and what's that? Could you go into a little bit for us what that means?
Yes.
Explain it to us a little bit.
Yeah, certainly. Eat this, not that is kind of a proper or a popular phrase now that's used. You see a lot of times on magazines, online, you see that. And really what that means is they want to give you practical solutions to what to eat and what not to eat. So of course, broccoli, that kind of thing, that's really practical that we do know about, that is very healthy. Most people know that broccoli is better than chocolate to eat. And so that would be in the eat this category. The don't eat this category would be like a cheeseburger and fries, But
now, well, explain it to us why that isn't a good thing to eat.
Well, as far as fast food in general, and whenever you go out to eat, I always tell people that chefs and restaurants make food to taste good. They don't necessarily make food to be healthy for you. They want you to come back, and they know if they put a lot of fat, a lot of sugar in it, that you're going to come back and eat that because the food tastes good, even though it's not necessarily.
It's the fat and the sugar.
Right, exactly. That increases neurotransmitters in your brain and make you feel good. So that's why you go back to that.
Oh. So, that we can't always just eat what's good for us. That would be such a boring life.
Certainly.
So what do we have to learn how to do? Kind of balance it?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, with nutrition, there needs to be balance. I mean, if you only eat what you would say healthier food or avoid certain foods like pizza, burgers, cake, you would deprive yourself, and typically we've even seen that people who last a long time without eating those types of foods can sometimes actually end up eating too much of them or binge on it once they actually do get it. So balance is the key. Moderation is the key. And what I say, Vita, what moderation is the amount of any food from broccoli to cheeseburgers that you can eat and used to be healthy. So that's really what moderation is.
Well, now, if somebody would come into you, do you give them like a consultation first of all?
Certainly, yeah.
And what does a consultation consist of?
Well, typically what I do as a registered dietitian is I will first look at what they typically eat. So I get a food recall of 24 hours or a weekly recall. And then what I do after that is we actually look into their diet, see what they're having that's good. I always want to always tell somebody what they're doing good as well as maybe what they need to improve on. So that's very important to do as well. We look at that, and then we basically figure out what they're lacking in their diet or possibly some things that are making them unhealthy. So it's really looking at our food recall, getting into that, and seeing what improvements they can make and setting goals.
Oh, well, now, if someone would come into you, it isn't necessarily for a weight loss.
Certainly.
It's for health purposes.
Sure. Right, correct. Weight loss is just one of many things that people will see me for. I also see people who need to gain weight, possibly somebody who's had cancer in the past.
That's hard to hear of.
Right. Most people, that's not the case. Diabetes is a very prevalent disease. Also cardiovascular disease, food allergies. I actually have food allergies myself, and I understand what it's like to avoid certain foods.
Would you stop right there and go into a little bit of what a food allergy is and how does a person know that they have it?
Well, food allergy is basically an autoimmune response to your body to a specific protein in food. So we've also heard of lactose intolerance. That is actually an intolerance to the sugar in milk. That's not actually a food allergy. A food allergy can be like gluten specifically. You hear a lot of people eating gluten-free now.
Right, that's a big thing now.
Sure, certainly.
Which I never heard that years ago.
Right. Gluten is actually a protein in wheat that can actually be harmful to certain people who actually have an autoimmune response to that. Their intestinal tract can't break it down, and it actually can make them sick. So a food allergy is where your body rejects certain types of proteins in foods. So, like
staying with this food allergy, now you put them on a different diet? You eliminate certain foods?
Certainly. We try to eliminate. What I would do is actually look at the foods that they're eating, see if any foods that they're actually having contains the food allergy, such as gluten. Gluten is a very it's in a lot of foods. It's very hard to detect a lot of times. It's very easy. We all know that bread has gluten in it, but most people don't know that oats also have gluten in it. because a lot of times it's contaminated in the same factory that they use to break down wheat and make bread products.
Oh, they use the same type of machinery?
Sure, yep.
So the contamination would come in through the machinery.
Certainly.
So
certainly.
that would contaminate like from the wheat product that produces this?
Right.
I got it.
Some foods such as licorice, a lot of people don't know that licorice actually contains wheat in it. And so if you were to have on a gluten-free diet and you were to eat something like licorice or Twizzlers or something like that, you wouldn't know that would have gluten in it, but actually it does, and you could be getting sick from that.
Well, then one of the remedies is always to read the ingredients of every product.
Certainly.
To see if it contains something of your allergies. Well, do you get many seniors that come in to see you?
Yes, I do actually. Talking about food allergies, I actually had a lady who was over 80 years old to come and see me one time because she recently got diagnosed with gluten allergy. After 80 years of eating gluten, she didn't know. And so I certainly will see seniors for diabetes, cardiovascular health, food allergies, and weight management.
Well, what is the biggest area that seniors suffer from? You think it's diabetes?
I think diabetes is more prevalent. So that's typically what I see now due to all the processed foods that we tend to eat and the lack of movement that we have in today's society.
And so your recommendation to them is not to eat as many processed foods?
You know what? For diabetes specifically, it's to watch the sugar content and to watch the carbohydrate content of lots of foods. So it's making sure if you do have potatoes or breads, other foods with sugars in them, sweets and desserts, not to have a lot of it.
I see. So moderation, that's another real clue. Okay, now we're going to come back to Josh, but now it's time for Vita's Pearls of Wisdom. Now, you know, I've talked to you about a lot of things. One of the things I want to talk to you about is, and I've talked to you about this before, you know, and I hate to hound on it, but it's an important factor, is when you take your vitamins, be sure you take your vitamins with a certain amount of food because they'll absorb better in your system. And if you are taking them without a food to take the absorption of them to be beneficial, the most beneficial for your body, then the only thing that you're vitamizing is your toilet. So you don't want to do that and waste your money and pour your vitamins down your toilet. You know, you want to get the most advantage. And we're looking to do that. And during these winter months, you know, if you can get up and one of the things that I found, you know, because I have a sleep apnea and I have a sleep apnea machine, is to engage myself in something during the day, that not let myself sleep a lot during the day so that I'll be tired at night. I do have a sleep apnea machine, which has helped me a great deal. But get up and move around so that you can have a good night's sleep and plan your meals out. I try to plan my meals out, you know, at least a week in advance so that you're not just going and grabbing and you forget, like he said, that moderation, and there's a certain balance that you have fresh fruits, you have fresh vegetables, you know. If you have your greens in your refrigerator and some fresh vegetables and some tomatoes or cucumbers out, then you don't go searching for something else, or any kind of junk food, and get yourself in the habit. It's a matter of training. And you know, you got to keep these little gray cells going, and that keeps us from getting Alzheimer's. You keep the activity and keep the focus going. The majority of the crew here is over 80 years old, you know, and you know what our motto is: we're going to live forever. We're going to be those that push through and live forever. But speaking of that, we are the first generation that has such a majority. We're no longer a minority. We're a majority of seniors that is living as long as we're living. And we're living this long because of the medication that we have today and all the cures that we have. And we're living this long because of technology also. So all these factors have come into it. But because we're living this long, we don't have the roadmap in front of us like, oh, well, my parents say only live till 60 or this, and this is just how it goes. We've broken the mold of that. We've broken the glass ceiling of that. So we have to learn how to take care of ourselves in such a way, and this number is just a number on our head. We have to erase that number on our head and constantly think, oh, I could do this. I can do this. I can do that. And 80 is only a number. So we have to adjust all those things, but nutrition is a very vital part of it, because some things we don't have control over, and that is an area in our life that we have a great deal of control over. And this is an important part for all of us. And I know it must be, because the most email and the most mail that I get and the most communication that I get, the people on areas that people want to see on the show, it's about nutrition. So I know that we all want to live longer. We want to live as long as we can in a healthy way. And we're getting back to Josh on that. Now, health. Now, say a person wants to know how they go about this. They don't know if they're on the nutritional path. They could call. You're a part of the Wellness Center, which is located in Libertyville,
Right.
Illinois, a part of the Advocate Condell, but it's on the campus of Advocate Condell, but it's the Center Club.
Certainly, yes.
It's the Center Club, and that's where your office is. And if they want to call the Wellness Center, we both have the telephone number in our brain, don't we?
Right.
We can give out that telephone number.
847-990-5770 if you'd like to get a consultation with me as a registered dietitian.
Right. If you'd like to get a consultation or you'd like to ask any questions, the receptionist would be very glad to answer any questions. Also, they do have a program there on weight loss, don't they?
They do. They actually have an obesity treatment program right now. And actually we're expanding to Chicago, Illinois, also to Lutheran General. So through Advocate Healthcare, this is a very multidisciplinary approach to weight loss, and we've been very successful so far.
Well, I didn't know that. So then this program is expanding into Lutheran General, and where in Chicago?
On Illinois Masonic right now.
Illinois Masonic
Right.
Hospital.
Yeah.
And it's called the Obesity Program.
It's called Advocate Healthcare, or Advocate Weight Management, actually.
Advocate Weight Management. So if you want more information on this, give them the telephone number again.
847-990-5770.
Okay, now maybe you could give us some more scenario about nutrition. That's what we want to know about. What else do you tell if somebody comes in for a consultation?
Well, typically, when somebody comes in for a consultation, besides looking at a food diary and looking at their food,
let me stop you right here. Do you make them do a food diary, or are they supposed to bring one with them?
You know what? I request a food diary if possible beforehand, because that actually helps me look into a week's or 2 weeks worth of nutrition, and we get more detail out of that.
I see. So you kind of get a profile of the person,
Exactly,
right?
exactly. What they like to eat for breakfast, lunch, dinner, some snack ideas. And based off that, I give them a meal plan based on what they like to eat, because, of course, if I give somebody information about what they don't want to eat, even though it's healthy, they're not going to eat it. It's not practical.
Well, and giving them a meal plan, do you give them a variety, or is it a specific item that they're supposed to eat?
Usually I give them 3 to 4 options for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and some snack ideas. So I like to give
just
some
ideas.
Options. Yeah, some options, because if you give somebody too many ideas, it's easy to kind of spiral out of that. So it's the less options, actually the better a lot of times.
Well, now, how long of a period do you think that it would take for whatever the person's, because there's a variety of problems people have,
Sure.
from health issues to weight on or off, how long of a period, like 3 months, 6 months?
As far as results,
Yes.
Typically what we've seen medically is that most people actually can change their blood labs. So whether it be cholesterol, lowering blood sugar, those types of things, it typically takes 8 weeks to actually change that.
To change the metabolism?
Yeah, to change actually the results in your body. So I mean, as far as good nutrition, what you put in your body, that's going to actually affect how much cholesterol, or it can affect how much cholesterol you produce, as well as the amount of blood sugar that you have. So yeah, in the end, your blood labs can actually change over a course of 8 weeks.
Have you seen anybody come off a medication because of good nutrition?
Certainly have, and I think that's one of the most important things, and that's something that I really enjoy, is to see somebody get off medication, not only because of the cost of it, but just because they're having better quality of life. So I've seen that multiple times.
Yeah. Well, now you treat outside of seniors, you treat other ages
yes,
too.
Of course.
From what age on do you treat people?
Typically children who are closer to teenage years, probably 8, 9, 10. And up, teenagers, adults, middle age. Typically, you want to go to more of a pediatric dietitian if you want for your child or baby, a younger child. So
now, could you kind of give us a list of like foods that we should eat sparingly? Very sparingly. Do you know off the top of your head?
Yeah. Well, I mean, as far as foods, what you want to do to eat sparingly, of course, the more processed the food, typically the worse it is, because they add salt, sugar, fat, those types of things.
Processed, you're talking about TV dinners, or you're talking about soups, canned soups?
Sure. I mean, the best soup that you can have is soup that you make yourself. The best actual meal you can eat is a meal that you can fix yourself, as opposed to frozen meals that have a little bit more sodium. But I do have to say,
sodium.
Yeah, frozen meals have come a long way, and they're a lot better than what they used to be.
There's some healthy choices.
Healthy choice, lean cuisine, those types of things are a little bit better. So watching the most processed foods, probably, fast food, those types of things, you'll be better off if you watch out for those.
Fried foods?
Fried food specifically, certain foods that have hydrogenated oil, that's trans fat.
Well, now what would that be in?
That would be specifically in peanut butter. Only if you get natural peanut butter can you avoid the trans fats typically in the hydrogenated oils. Also, margarine.
Well, what does that do? Could you
sure.
go into that a little bit?
The trans fats, what it actually does is it can actually lower your good cholesterol, your healthy cholesterol, your HDL, healthy. That's a good way to remember it. And LDL, your lousy cholesterol. That's a
good way to remember. Lousy and good. And so, actually, if you get the natural peanut butter, what's the difference now?
You're actually avoiding the hydrogenated oil in that. So again, you don't want any trans fats in your diet, again, because they can increase inflammation. They can actually raise your bad cholesterol, lower your good cholesterol. And natural peanut butter, also avoiding margarine, hard stick margarine. Also tell people that occasionally butter is okay. People always talk about what's the difference between butter and margarine. Well, margarine has trans fats and hydrogenated oils. If you do get margarine, make sure that you get the soft tub type that spreads easily.
And margarine. Then, how about the what's on the popcorn when you go to the show?
Oh, right.
What is that?
Well, I don't. That's man-made, manufactured butter, so not for sure. It's always best if you can eat it plain. A little bit of salt may be okay, but the more stuff that you add on there, that's not real butter. So what you can actually do if you're at home is take olive oil and spritz it on there and actually cook it also, and that gives it a little fat, but it's healthier.
I recently saw on a television show that if you eat earlier in the day, they had some kind of a survey that they took. The people that ate earlier in the day lost more weight than people who ate later on. I don't know if there's any validity to it.
Sure.
It wasn't that big of a thing. But now, how do you recommend a person eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner with 2 snacks?
I think that's great. Either you might be a person who likes to eat bigger meals, and I would say breakfast, lunch, dinner, have at least 1 snack in a day. Some people like to skip lunch or skip breakfast a lot of times, or sometimes skip dinner if they have lunch as the biggest meal. But make sure you never skip it. At least have a snack or 2. But yeah, eating every 4 to 5 hours keep you from overeating and keep your blood sugars from dropping and you craving sugars, typically.
So eating every couple hours. Then another thing now on beverages. I know we're supposed to drink how much water a day? About 8 glasses?
Yeah. There hasn't been validity and scientific proof as far as how much fluid you need a day. Actually, 20% of your fluid comes from food that you eat. And so if you're getting at least 6 glasses of water, that other 20% that you would get in 8 glasses of water is coming from food typically. So.
And then I know I've read a lot that a glass of wine, a glass of red wine.
Yeah, sure. It has, as far as that goes, antioxidants. Also, typically, too, it thins your blood a little bit. So, I mean, it keeps, healthier as far as strokes go and that kind of thing. But, yeah, red wine's totally fine. I would recommend 1 drink a day is okay.
But, years ago, I don't know whether it just wasn't detected and it wasn't as sophisticated technically as it is today. We never heard of gluten-free like we hear about it today.
Certainly.
Now there's gluten-free bakeries, there's gluten-free restaurants.
Right.
That it seems to, I don't know if that's one of the buzzwords, but it seems to, maybe it's identified more today.
Right, totally is. We used to, we didn't know how to actually diagnose gluten, and now there's tests that can actually diagnose. And I'm actually gluten-free. I actually have a gluten intolerance. And it's funny that you say gluten-free bakeries. My wife and I actually had a gluten-free wedding cake a couple years ago.
You did?
Which is pretty amazing. You don't see that everywhere. So yeah, gluten-free is really expanding.
And so you got it at a gluten-free bakery.
I certainly did.
I know Evanston, they've opened up, it's a pretty good size gluten-free, it's a bakery like a deli and a restaurant, a combination.
They do have that. Roses, I think is what it's called, yeah.
Yeah, which is, I understand, a pretty good one. So that's real interesting. And like today, the thing that's really big is vegan and vegetarians. I know there's a difference between them.
Right, correct.
I don't know the difference.
Okay, as far as vegans go, vegans actually eat no animal products whatsoever. They eat nothing with animal products in it. So vegetarians, there's different types of vegetarians. You have vegetarians that actually avoid lactose and milk. Some vegetarians avoid eggs. Some vegetarians vegans avoid complete animal products, and if something even has milk in it or has some type of animal product, even if it's a small ingredient within the food, they will not consume it. So it's total avoidance of animal products for vegans.
Well, now, where does your passion lie? What kind of gratification do you get out of the work that you're in?
Well, I actually...
You tell that camera right there.
Well, I love nutrition. I almost went to medical school, but nutrition is my passion. I actually have the opportunity to give people better quality of life and get paid for it. So I can't think of a better career path than to be a registered dietitian, help people get off medication and give them a better quality of life, and I get gratification out of that. So,
well, that is good, and we hope that you'll be around with us for a long time, that we're going to be around for a long time, and that you'll come back and keep us updated what's happening in the world of nutrition, because we want to be aware of all that. Now, I want you to watch our shows online, go into senior issues, etc., and click onto either the shows or to our blog, which is on Patch. And I'm connected right to it. You just give it one click and you can see these shows. And when you come to the end of your rope, you know what you do? You tie a knot and you hang on. And you know why? Because the best is yet to come. And what we want you all to do this week is to catch the spirit.